What is the structure of the heart? In this quick video, we're going to have a look at the anatomy of the heart and introduce you or remind you of the key areas that you need to know about at GCSE level. So you can see here the heart pumping away. This is a cross-section illustration of the heart, but also, as we know, of course, it is three-dimensional, and so you can see here the back of the heart and the blood vessels coming into and out of the heart, which we'll have a look at just a moment. But before we do that, we need to just be clear of the way in which you're expected to consider and look at the heart. So the things you can see there, those yellow lines, we break the heart up into different sections, and we refer to looking at the heart as the right side and the left side. Now that might be a little bit confusing for you, because obviously as you're looking at it, where it says the right side, it's on the left hand side of your screen, and similarly where it says the left side, it's on the right hand side of your screen. So the way for you to think about that is that the image of the heart is somebody looking back out of the page or the screen at you. So here I am now, here's my face, you can see me. So think of that as being my heart, and on the right hand side there is obviously the right side of my heart, and similarly on the left hand side. So let's have a look at those four areas. You can see the four quadrants there. How are they broken up, how are they divided, and how do we consider the anatomy of the heart? First of all, you'll see there that there is a chamber. Let's just take that away. There's a chamber there which is called an atrium, and there's also a chamber on the other side. So the yellow area there, that's the right atrium, and then correspondingly on the other side we've got the yellow there, the left atrium. So the two top chambers are called atria. That's the plural of atrium, and then the chambers underneath are called ventricles. So we have here the green, the right ventricle, and we have on the other side the left ventricle. It's really important that you remember the atriums and the ventricles and which side of the heart they are on. Now, just a couple of other things that we need to be aware of in terms of labeling the heart and knowing the anatomy of the heart. If we go to the next slide, you can see here there's our heart pumping on the left hand side. First of all, let's identify those atria and ventricles again. So the right atrium number 1, left atrium number 2, right ventricle number 3, and left ventricle number 4. Hopefully that's pretty straightforward. Now a couple of other things then. So some blood vessels to be aware of as well. This big blue one up here you can see is called the superior vena cava, and that's where blood comes into the heart. We'll talk more about the pathway of blood in another video, but just be aware that this is called the vena cava, and this one here with the 3 tubes coming out is called the aorta. So vena cava and aorta at the top. Then this purple one, this pinky one here, is the pulmonary artery, as you can see, and the 2 coming back in is the pulmonary vein. When I explain these in another video, it'll be very clear as to what their function are and what they do. Last one on this is you will see that there are a number of valves here. Now, if we take a look at those valves in a bit more detail, you can see that these valves here from the ventricles, so the right ventricle and the left ventricle here, are what are called our semilunar valves. You can see over on the left hand side there, semilunar valves and semilunar valves. Sometimes you might see, or your teachers might have referred this to as aortic valve on this side and the pulmonary valve. My suggestion to you is just try to remember them as semilunar valves. So those are the valves which go from the ventricles into the blood vessels coming away from the heart. And the other type of valves are the valves down here between the right atrium and the right ventricle, and that is called a tricuspid valve. And then you've got another valve between the left atrium and the left ventricle, and that is called a bicuspid valve there. Now the way that I teach my students and help my students to remember this, the difference between a tricuspid valve and a bicuspid valve and where they are on the heart, is that tri there has R in it. You can see tri, the R there, tricuspid valve, R for right atrium, R for right ventricle. So tricuspid valve goes there, and then the other one, bicuspid valve, will just sit between the left atrium and the left ventricle. Just a reminder that valves are there to ensure that blood flows only in one direction. You can see that they're shaped such as they do not allow blood to flow back from where it came from, so it prevents backflow of blood to ensure that blood goes in only one direction, and the direction that it's supposed to go into.